I was given a very limited brief, and I have you guys with me for a very short time. So this talk is going to be very succinct, very quick, hopefully informative for you guys. You take something back, and I like to keep my talks very casual. And because I remember when I was a student, right? I was in Xavier's College. I used to really dread guest lecturers. I'd be like, my God, some old dude is going to come and make us go to sleep. I'd rather be in the canteen, eating palak dosa. So I promise to keep you guys entertained and informed, a little bit of both. So I call this the interface talk because I couldn't think of a better title. Personal and professional challenges during a pandemic. That's what I was briefed over email, so that's what I shall cover. Now, I've added your institute's logo in the bottom right, but these are some of the many other places I have been invited to as a speaker, as an expert panelist, give my opinions on a variety of subjects. And I actually enjoy the question answer round the most. So my talk, as I said, will cover a few things, but it won't cover everything. So you will definitely have questions, and I encourage you to ask them without any fear. Okay, I was briefed yesterday that certain topics are not to be discussed because to stick to what we are here for. So if you have any questions that are completely unrelated to what we have spoken about today, I encourage you to ask them to me, not here. Later, I will share my contact details. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to address all those questions because I believe as a mental health professional, there are no good and bad questions. There are no immoral and moral questions. There are questions, and there are answers, or there are questions that lead to further questions. I have worked with several brands, and those of you all who have probably Googled me or probably will eventually Google me will know that I spent 10 years as an entertainment professional. So you'll see a lot of the brands on the left out of TV channels where I worked as a consultant, as a creative guy. And so I've had two lives so far. In the past, I was working in television, then I've studied the subject of mental health with great depth and detail, and I became a counselor with my own practice, etc., which is where I find myself. I train, I do a lot of these webinars as well, and I also have a private practice with clients, who need therapy, young couples, people in your age group on their academic journeys, etc. So I just like to put this, because there was a time where I remember in the year 2009, I really wanted a job, and I never imagined that so many years later I would have worked with so many brands, collaborated with so many prestigious and well-known brands. So I feel very grateful and very excited to be here with you guys. If you like what I'm saying, if you want to read more about the things I have to speak about, as I said, on subjects that I may not be covering today, these are some of the publications. You can just Google them, Google Mumbai Mirror and Aman Bhonsle, and you'll find some quote of mine in some article. They've been quoting me for many years now. So if you're interested in exploring more of my perspectives, this is just a slide to tell you that this is where you can find a little more of me. Okay. Now, I grew up before the internet existed. I don't think any of y'all are old enough to know how the world was before there was the internet. I think a lot of y'all are internet babies. So my boarding school, where I spent most of my years, age 10, I was there. Age 16, I got done with my 10th standard. Was on a hill, not just a hill which had no internet. Even making a phone call required me to get signatures from at least three teachers: your class teacher, the in charge who was in charge of your dormitory, and the principal. So even a 10-minute phone call required at least 5, 6 hours of groundwork. Guess what? There were no mobile phones either. So yeah, I'm a little older than y'all, and I do sometimes feel like a dinosaur. But as you can tell, there are certain benefits to living in a world without connections, and then you learn to make those connections real time after you're out of it. So as you can see, I'm with the same teacher in both these photos here. Literally, the photos are 6 years apart. The one on the left is on my first day of school and the last day of school. As you can tell, she hasn't aged at all, but I've grown a little taller. So you can tell how long I was on that hill. Living on that hill, you can see the first photo. And then, of course, I went to Xavier's College and I used to wear chappals way too often for, I think, anyone's liking. I always joke about this. I tell people, you want to be taken seriously in life, don't show up wearing chappals. All right. So we had a lot of fun in Xavier's. Xavier's was a sort of metamorphosis of cultures. I'd never met a Christian before, I think, before I went to Xavier's. And I realized that the way I think, the way I feel, what I believe in is just a very, very small, almost molecular uh, you know, uh, dot in the sea of perspectives. There are other cultures, other communities, other parts of Bombay. So I'm a South Bombay boy, so I realized, wow, there's something called Malad, there's something called Kanjurmarg, Virar for the first time because I had friends from all those areas as well. So it was very interesting. Again, my first day of college, extreme left, and then I downgraded to Chappals in my last day of college. This is me, literally in my 11th standard and in my TY. Still hadn't grown a mustache, couldn't, and not for lack of trying. There were no jobs in the year 2009, so a friend of mine called me up one day. She said, "Hey, Aman, there's a job, but you got to live in a jungle for 6 months. There's a reality show happening, and there are games. It's kind of like Survivor. So you can see I'm in a coffin out here. You can see the hair and beard had grown because we didn't have access to barber shops for 6 months. So yeah, I lived in a jungle as well. And if there's one thing that a jungle teaches you about life in general, is that snakes don't care. Snakes don't care about how smart you are, how well you did in your exams. The snakes don't care. And I used to meet on an average one snake every 2 days. All right, because when you shoot in the jungles, you're in the snake's house. So you realize how small you are, how minuscule you are. And that brings me to my next point, which I will illustrate after this slide. So my brief was to address these three questions: college life during a pandemic, the impact of online learning during a pandemic, and job challenges during a pandemic. So I'll be touching upon these three questions and these three questions only. And as I said, we'll explore a few more things in the Q&A section of the talk. Coming back to life in the jungle or life in a boarding school on a hill before the internet and before mobile phones. I'd like to illustrate this, and this is a slightly more philosophical way of looking at things. I always have strongly believed that there is a qualitative difference between being unique and being special. Now, I keep telling people that nobody's special. You are not special, maybe only to your mom. Maybe she's the only person who thinks you're special, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. They think you're special, but maybe not forever. But every human being is unique. Why are we unique? Because we have certain perspectives, certain beliefs, certain strengths, weaknesses, and certain habits. Now, all these things can either push us forward or keep us back, right? Based on who's measuring, based on whose criteria, based on your own criteria. Of course, you have to decide what winning means to you. Does winning mean a big house, a big car, a house in Malabar Hill, or does winning mean sleeping for 10 hours every day, meeting your friends any day of the week, and traveling extensively? How do you define success? How do you define the difference between winning and losing? Is entirely your business, strictly your business, not my business, not your college's business, not your lecturer's business, which is what makes you unique. But if you start expecting special treatment for your efforts, or special treatment because you had trouble with a breakup, or special treatment because you were a part of some issues you had, some politics between friends in your house, or there were financial struggles that you witnessed while growing up. If you think you deserve special treatment because of these hurdles, the answer is you won't get it. You won't get it because that's just how the world is. You don't get something unless you roll with the punches, occasionally roll over, and then stand up and make your move. All right. So I want to, because this entire situation with the coronavirus is what I refer to as an inflection point. Like all good, bad, ugly, neutral decisions that you will make for your life, for your academic and professional journeys, begin from this inflection point that I think the entire world has been put at. So whether you decide to spend all this time feeling sorry for yourself, or whether you spend all this time really gathering your resources and becoming smarter and more nimble, it's really up to you. So what do we do? Let's look at the three questions. College life during the pandemic. Now, these three questions have pros and cons as part of my understanding of it. I believe any situation in life has pros and cons. I remember my Hindi teacher used to say something to me. He said कि इंसान अच्छा या बुरा नहीं होता, वक्त खराब होता है या अच्छा होता है. Isn't it? If you think about it philosophically, because we are all to some extent shaped and pushed around by circumstances, and here the common one being the coronavirus pandemic. So there are certain pros to college life during the pandemic, believe it or not, and there are certain cons. So we're going to look at both and try to understand it because this is what I was asked to expressly touch upon. One of the pros of life during the pandemics, you get to learn so much from the privacy of your home. Think about it. If this was a different time, if there was no pandemic, and if I was expected to drive all the way to your campus to give this lecture, who knows, maybe I would have not been able to make it. But here I am, sitting at home in the comfort of my home office. You guys are either lying down or eating your nashta, or you've put your camera in one place and you're doing other things. This is called comfort, and you have the privacy of your house. So that's one of the pros, isn't it? College life is now on your terms. You control the game. The entire playing field is one screen. I'm reduced to just one square, one little window where I'm here to share my thoughts with you. One of the cons which I would feel, which I'm sure you guys may be also feeling, is there's this energy. There's a visceral energy to sitting in a classroom with other students. Ask me, I was in Xavier's. I really enjoyed the energy of the classroom. Sometimes, a little bit of musty as well, having fun with the teachers. The teacher would throw a chalk at you or, would take attendance. Those are like some of the more fun memories of my college. So yes, the energy of the classroom is missing. There's a con to that. One of the pros is, hey, you don't have to commute all the way. Those of y'all who live really far and have to take trains and rickshaws and haggle and struggle and tumble your way to college, well, that's completely eliminated. So if you're an introvert as well, isn't this like a boon for you? So you use a lot of time commuting. If you actually do the maths, you are on the road for at least 2 hours if you stay really far from college, and that's including the time you spend in and out of lectures. Here, that is completely eliminated, thus freeing up your time. Which also brings me to the con. What do you do when you have too much time? You may start wasting it on other things. I know a lot of people, not just in your age group, but also slightly older, have gotten addicted to online gambling, online shopping, gaming as well. I personally love to game, but I'm talking about online competitive games that suck up 7, 8 hours of your day, time that you could be spending in perhaps other things that are equally important, like your academics, like your exams, etc. One of the pros of the pandemic college life is you get room service with experts. Look at me, I'm right here on your screens. Isn't that like room service? All right. My expertise, my understanding, my perspectives available to you like room service. You can get it. And because I'm doing so many of these talks, a lot of these videos of my other talks are also there on my YouTube channel. As you can see, my contact details are there on each slide because I'm quite active on social media as well. So I always tell people who come for my talks, I've kept my contact information extremely transparent. So well, you get, I'm sure there are other people as well who will be coming for such consortiums to speak to you guys. So you're getting room service with people who would otherwise be very, very expensive to procure or very, very inaccessible because they are busy, they have other things to do as well. But here they are because they don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. We can have a discussion. One of the cons is it's very difficult to have one-to-one interaction. For example, right now, all I can see is a screen. I can't see any of your beautiful smiling faces. I could only see the two lovely ladies in the beginning, and now they've disappeared as well. It's what it is, right? The energy of the classroom is missing, and therefore the one-on-one interaction which you can have. I remember after every guest lecture that I was interested in, I would go and try to speak to the speaker saying, sir, can I have a minute with you? I actually wanted to ask this question, or I'm interested, or how do I be in touch? So that one-to-one interaction is also a beautiful place to build relationships, which is harder when you're across a screen. So therefore it is a con. Definitely. One of the pros is, hey, those of you all who are really attached to your families can get to spend a lot of time with them. Maybe you had a family member who was traveling a lot. Maybe you were traveling a lot. All kinds of situations existed. But now everyone's more or less working from home. So you have more time for the people who matter. Now, some of you all don't like your families, and that's all right too. Your families are filled with annoying people. You're irritated to be around your mom and dad, which is what brings me to the cons. There's a lot of adjusted scrutiny. Your schedule, your life, your friends, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, how often you eat junk food from outside, how much you sleep, what time you wake. All these are up for scrutiny because parents are going to be parents. They're going to say, hey, 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 I see you're not up to much. What's happening with the studies? What's happening with life? And this inexplicable problem that parents may have with young adults sleeping or having a spouse, which I still don't understand because I had both when I was your age, a girlfriend and I slept a lot. But parents don't like it when you sleep. So that adjusted scrutiny is multiplied into 10 times, isn't it? So that is one of the downsides of having your college life take place from the comforts of your bedroom, because now everyone can see what you're doing, what you're wearing. And then when you're constantly harangued and questioned, that kind of breaches your privacy, which I think everyone is entitled to. So that's one of the cons. One of the pros is technology has made things convenient. You have your WhatsApp webs, you have, Zoom, or you have this new platform which I'm now using. Technology has brought us all closer together, but the con of that is it has also made us a little more isolated from each other, isn't it? There's something very palpable and something very warm about being in the same space as someone else while learning, while communicating. Small things. I remember in college we used to write notes and pass them to each other in the classroom, and that was a lot more fun than a chat window. All right, or maybe I'm just an old dude talking about the good old days. So, as you can see, with any situation, there are pros and cons, and this is for all situations. Any difficult situation in your house, in your life, with your social circle, you can either, as I said, you can either see it as a major hurdle, or you can see it as an enabler of, learning so many things that you would have otherwise not learned, through this crazy place called the school of life, isn't it? What is the impact of online learning? One of the pros is that you are able to multitask. You're able to chat with someone while take notes, maybe even record a session illegally or legally. You can multitask. You can do multiple things. You can settle your cupboard while listening. You can basically turn any human being into a podcast or a YouTube video. Just turn your camera off, put yourself on mute, and boom, it's a live podcast. And you can record it also for easier recollection. One of the cons is because there's so much multitasking happening, there is a heightened amount of distractibility. There's a point where you're doing so many things that you're not doing any one thing particularly well. You're kind of spread thin, which makes it very, very hard to, sort of really zero in to what you need to be doing. One of the pros of online learning is you feel private and safe. You can wear what you want. You can eat while attending a lecture. And that privacy and safety is unattainable in the real world because you're always up for scrutiny. Imagine if you could turn your camera off in the real world and suddenly you became invisible. This is literally the power of invisibility at the click of a button. You don't even need to be a superhero for that. One of the cons is that even though you're private and safe, you don't learn the art of dealing with other human beings because it's one sided. Even right now, what I'm doing is one sided. I can't see your faces, your expressions. So it's very important if you want to succeed, especially as lawyers. You got to be good with people. You got to know how to sweet talk them. You got to know how to negotiate. You got to know how to, really, really win their trust and confidence. Otherwise, they're not going to pay you their hard-earned money to take care of things for them, isn't it? That's the number one skill. You need, and when you sit in your house across screens while sending texts and archiving messages and browsing online and watching videos, you don't get that, you don't get that real, across the table experience of dealing with people, which is a problem. One of the pros of online learning, you may feel, is you can actually get away with laxity. Like if you're feeling a little lazy, I mean, today I'm a bit tired, I'm not in the mood, you can get away with it. But do you know there are very dire consequences to that in the real world, which brings us to the cons as well. Because if you're lax, if you're lazy, if you're not doing your assignments, if you're just bumming around and your parental supervision kicks in, as explained in the previous slide, the fact that your mom and dad are constantly there to nag you, it will retard your growth because you will stay psychologically a kid waiting for mom to wake you up, mom to cook your meals, mom to nag you, mom to encourage you. And that leads to what I refer to as a stunting, an emotional stunting where you've not yet. I mean, those people who seriously believe that they're studying to impress their parents, you guys have got it completely wrong. Your parents are going to die. And you're going to spend many, many years with the knowledge that they are dead and not around to help you. Who do you think is going to pay your bills then? Who do you think is going to deal with the emotional turbulences of adulthood then? It's you against the world, man. So you're studying to secure a future for yourself, not to make mummy proud. She'll be proud for a week or an evening or maybe even a year. But after that, she'll want different things. First, your parents want you to study, then they want you to marry, then they want you to have a kid, then they want you to take better care of your health. They will always keep wanting a little something more. So if you think that you are doing things to make them proud, I'm sorry to say, but there's an expiry to that. So one of the cons of online learning is everyone's in each other's faces a little too much. And that retards growth. You don't learn to be accountable and responsible for yourself, which is a problem. One of the pros of online learning is you can make digital notes. I use this app on my iPad known as Notability. I also use Good Notes, depending on what kinds of notes I require to take. And those digital notes are amazing because using the cloud, they will sync across multiple devices. Okay. One of the cons of online learning is you will struggle to retain information because things are moving very fast and the teacher may not be able to adjust their teaching speed to match your learning speed, which one may argue also happens in the real world, which is fair. Yes, it happens in the real world, but at least you can raise your hand up in class. It's not the same as raising a digital hand. When a teacher actually, you're within eye shot and you put your hand up, there's a certain human connection there. The teacher says, yeah, tell me, what doubts do you have? As opposed to someone putting it on chat. It's not very personal, is it? So you may struggle to retain information because, as I said, the human interface is amounts to something. Okay. One of the pros of online learning is you have proof of every interaction. Your teachers can't abuse you or be mean to you because you can literally record that on video and get them in trouble. And back in our times, our teachers used to have the choicest and most horrible insults for us if for some reason we disappointed them. All right. I actually had a history teacher once tell me, go out and die. Go out of my class and die. All right. In Xavier's college, Christian college. Not a very Christian thing to do, is it? To go and ask someone to go out and die. I said, okay, I'll go out. I won't die. I'll go to the canteen and have my cheese dosa. Yeah. What else can I do? One of the cons of online learning is, that those inside jokes, the rapport you build, those bonds you build with friends, with colleagues, with people with whom you're doing a group project. Those bonds, that rapport is very, very difficult to come by. And you have these things with your friends which are like inside jokes, which only y'all understand. Only the three of y'all understand that joke. Arey, class mein ye hua tha. Those jokes have completely disappeared with this new online learning environment that we find ourselves in. Yes, the knowledge is more accessible. Yes, you are in your pajamas or your shorts. Yes, you have saved a lot of time. But where's the, as they say in Hindi, rishton ki garmahat? Where's that? It's kind of watered down a little bit, I would argue. But that's just my opinion. Now, job challenges during the pandemic. Our third and penultimate question for today is, as we know, a lot of companies now, because they don't want to pay that expensive Bombay rent, so they are now downsizing their offices. And I heard this, my friend who works in an agency, he said that if you choose to work from home, there's a pay cut because you no longer are a liability in the office. You're no longer going to be using their resources, and they're anyway, whittling away their resources to save more money. So a lot of people have had to take pay cuts because they are saying, oh, you no longer have to spend on your train ticket or your public transport. You no longer have to pay food at the office canteen. So your expenses on a daily basis are cut down. So we are cutting down your income, your salary as well. So there are pay cuts because the companies are also not doing well. Yeah, there are hiring freezes, which means the company says you may be great, you may be the best thing since sliced bread, but we don't want more people because we already have all the people we need. And of course, the worst thing, the most humiliating thing for any working professional is a layoff, where you do good work. People want you around, but they lay you off. Why? Because you are nothing but an extra cost for them. Cost cutting. Like a piece of cloth, when with the tailor's scissor, you're just being trimmed away, skimmed away. One of the challenges during the pandemic, especially for professionals, is that you realize all this knowledge, all these exams you cracked, all this stuff you remembered is not worth that much in the real world because the application of that knowledge is worth a lot more. You could be a very knowledgeable lawyer, but if you don't win cases, no one really cares. If you don't help solve problems for your clients, as a lawyer, that's what you're here for, right? Solving problems in a variety of ways through a variety of specialities. If you don't solve problems, if your research is faulty, then then how many marks you got in your paper really don't matter. And a bad reputation follows you around like a shadow, especially if you start your innings in a lazy and piecemeal manner. The market is fickle regardless of where you come from. Now, you may come from a very pedigreed family where everyone is very highly educated. Maybe you live in Malabar Hill, so that you think that makes you greater than everyone else. Maybe you look very nice when you decide to put some work into what you're wearing. But the market being fickle has nothing to do with all your so-called strengths, exalted qualifications, and natural advantages. All these things don't matter because the market is fickle. Fortunately, some careers are recession proof, like being a lawyer or a doctor. This is highly recession proof. So, yes, you will have opportunities to prove yourself. Maybe not, maybe these opportunities will not be as easy to come upon. It's a competitive market. Just look at our population. So, really, what separates you? What separates you from the crowd? Which brings me to point number 4. Building an image is as important as having a skill set. You have a skill set, you have that paper that proves you've studied and you're a lawyer. But your image, the kind of shirts you wear, how you talk, how articulate you are, how smart you are, do people like having you around? Do people like calling you to their house for dinner? Do they want to have a couple of drinks with you? Do they want to, invite you, your wife, and your kid as you all grow older? You realize, and this was said to me, and I used to think it's complete bogus when I was in college, that a lot of successful business deals are finalized over a game of golf or over a game of snooker. But it's actually the truth. As you grow older, you realize the guy who went for the boss's private barbecues, the guy who had lunch with his seniors was the one who got the promotion, not the guy who was necessarily smart or diligent or hardworking. So it's about image building. How are you going to do that from across a screen? How are you going to build an image through your Instagram profile? All right, that's one way of doing it, but it's not foolproof. The algorithm is out there to destroy you if you're not posting frequently. Now, even Insta doesn't even let you share videos of other people. It's happened with some accounts. So you realize knowledge is not as useful as you thought it was. You realize the market has its own intelligence that will dictate how quickly you reach that rung of the ladder from where success becomes a possibility. You understand that your image, which you need to build in person, is so hard to build because people don't have time. If you go and try to sweet talk or you try to butter someone up, they're going to be like, yeah, yeah, please go where you came from. We've had many people like you. We know how this game works. हमको मत सिखाओ, हम तुम्हारे बाप बैठे हैं यहाँ पे. This ego is there. This guardedness is there. And it's a lot harder across the screen, isn't it? I remember when I worked in Singapore, I was not sure if I'd get the job, but my video interview, because I was across the geography, he saw my face, I saw his face with the creative director all those years ago, is what sealed the deal for me because I charmed his pants off with my understanding of the subject, of the brand, of the work, of the jargon. मैं पूरा तैयारी करके गया था. I had studied the night before, even though there was nothing technically to study. I said I must say all the right things. So that is very important. Of course, you can do it over a video call, as I did all those years ago. But it's a lot easier when you actually meet the person, go out for lunch, have a sandwich together, coffee. It helps. Job challenges during the pandemic, your need to be working is not the only variable. As I said, see, you get out of college, now what you want to do is work, 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 make money, make a name, build a network. These are all wonderful things. They're necessary ingredients to your success. But you have this need to work. But you understand that that's not the only variable. Government policy, the COVID guidelines, your health, what's happening in your house. There are many other forces and pressures that are going to affect you all. And that needs to be taken into account. Or as I say, you got to absorb a lot of hits. So some people get very arrogant. I did so well in my exam. I did so well. I worked so hard. I slogged. I didn't sleep. You know what? The world doesn't care. Because as I said, you're unique but not special. So your need to be working doesn't make you special. Even a construction worker has a need to work. Everyone has a need to work because we need to pay the bills. Who's going to pay the bills otherwise, right? Eventually, that's what it's going to be. Right now, you're living in your mom's and dad's houses or with your family. Fair enough. You don't have to worry about bills. Once you realize how expensive Wi-Fi and electricity is in this city, then you'll be like, oh no, I was trying to crack exams. Now I got to pay the bill. What am I going to do? So you need to work and you should be working, no doubt, but it's not the only variable. There are other variables, as I said, building a good image, the market, applying knowledge, the hiring practices of the company you wish to work for, or you choose the double-edged sword of self-employment, where on some days you earn money, on some days, well, you don't. It's hard to stand out when you're a window on a screen. I said this earlier, I'll say it again. It's one of the bigger challenges. If you want to impress the boss, you want to have a really great bond with your colleague, you want to really, really do well. How are you going to do it if you're just a window on a screen? Your personality doesn't shine through what you type on the chat window. There's a limit because that can easily be faked. Every interaction I've had with my colleagues across a table while having coffee is where all those bonds and friendships came into full fruition, for me at least. And I know it works that way in the corporate world. I've been there, I've done that, I've played that game for 10 years. Now understand that sitting at home on your chair every day, there's a lecture, there's an assignment, blah, blah, blah. There's certain monotony and boredom to it. I don't know if you guys are feeling it. I love the outdoors. I love going out. I love the outdoors. There's a certain boredom. There's a certain kya yaar. Oh. It's convenient, no doubt, but there's a certain boredom. And that can affect productivity very badly. So if you see your productivity is getting affected, it's probably because you're bored and you're, in this monotonous space. I tell a lot of people that if you have the budget and the inclination and you can work from anywhere, why don't you go to one of these, nowadays you have co-working spaces which are COVID appropriate. There are hill station sort of co-working, living spaces as well, where a lot of digital nomads go and live. You can get a slightly varied environment. It's like staying at a hostel. There are places in Himachal, etc. You should totally Google these places. They're really nice, really well done. They have a decent Wi-Fi connection, and you can do all your work from there and also meet new people. It's an option. Uh, Understand that the zeitgeist, cultural zeitgeist, which means the way society is, the way it thinks, all the advances in technology and mindset, etc., and the economy will affect the future unpredictability. And even if these factors were not understood or by you, they will in some way or the other affect the future. The future is unpredictable, and you need to make your peace with it. Even if you work hard, look good, do all the right things, at the right age you get married, life is a random place, is what I keep telling people. You may really succeed and reach your peak by the age of 35, and then you may die as a 44-year-old in a freak accident, right? There was the Big Boss actor, the guy who died recently with a heart attack. Doesn't look like the kind of guy who'd have a heart attack, right? He was quite fit from the appearance of it. Siddharth Shukla. So what happened with Sushant Singh? What happened with Riya Chakraborty? Life is very weird and unpredictable. So it's very important to have a little bit of humility that, okay, I'm not going to try to control the future. What I can control is my habits, my schedule, my mindset, and the company I keep. And that's where it really counts if you really think about it. Your attitude will define your altitude. I know it's a very cliched quote. It's so cliched that I was cringing while putting it, because you can find this on Google, to be very honest. But I really like what it stands for. If you have an attitude of a problem solver, if you are not as affected by people's opinions of you, if you understand that every human being, me included, everyone has flaws, has strengths, has certain natural advantages, the day you understand this, my dear friends, you'll develop a very, what I refer to as a very tolerant attitude. मतलब आपका जो एक बोलते हैं ना उम्र का जो जुनून है ना, गर्माहट जो है ना, that heat of youth थोड़ा ठंडा हो जाएगा. You won't want to pick fights. Though I know as a lawyer, it's a professional skill to pick the right fights and then win those. In your personal life, you will find a lot of peace if you just have a balanced attitude, one of tolerance, which is what brings me to the 5 C's, which I would recommend to anyone. It's not just, I thought I'll give you a little value add. We're not just talking about work and life and studies during the pandemic. 5 things that you need to be if you want to succeed do well, you need to be curious, which means you need to understand that there will never be a point in your life or anyone's life where they have known everything there is to know about the world or about the field of their choice or about themselves or about their family or about society. You will never know everything. You'll always benefit from a little bit more. And then that will bring you towards that equanimity and balance, which mental health professionals like me are working on a daily basis to help our clients achieve. So be curious, ask questions, ask lots of questions to an extent that people say, "Arey yaar, kitne question पूछते हो yaar? We don't have the answers. छोड़ दो." Because curiosity is a beautiful thing. People say don't ask questions because they're embarrassed that they don't know the answer, or it may reveal that they were pretending to know more than they actually did. That's why questions are not welcomed, or they're just impatient or in a hurry. I love questions, which is why my talk here is brutally short. Remember to be consistent. If you start something, see it all the way to the end. That's called consistency. Don't be half-assed about it. Pardon my French. Don't be someone who starts like, oh, I'm going to lose weight and go to the gym. You go for 2 days after that, it's oh yeah, pizza khate hain. You don't want to be one of those people because that builds a poor reputation quicker than anything else. Be creative in whatever you do. Find an alternate way to approach a problem. I was watching this video the other day on the internet about a guy who used to shoot arrows, and apparently it was rumored he never missed a target. So one guy one day said, "I want to see what is your skill. How come you never missed the target?" So I said, "Okay." Then he came with his arrows and his bow. He shot 5 arrows and hit 5 corners of the room. He said, "I haven't missed the target." But the guy said, "But where's the target?" Like he said, "Wait a minute." He took a paintbrush and he painted the target around where the arrow landed. And he said, "Look, I didn't miss the target." He's like, "No, but that's not the target." He's like, "The target is wherever I decide it is. Who are you to tell me that isn't the target? I painted around the target, so that makes it the target." That's creative. That's creative, right? It's a little sly as well, but you're going to need a lot of that if you're going to be lawyers. My grandfather was a lawyer as well. He was, in fact, he was a barrister back in the old days. So I have a lot of lawyers in my family, and I know one thing about them that they all have in common is they're very connected. That's my fourth C for you. They're connected. They're great with people, great at networking. They know how to have a conversation with human beings. They don't get awkward. They don't let being introverted stop them from building a solid reputation through their network. Because don't understand one thing: if you want more work, people are gonna have to want to work with you, and they will want to work with you if others who have worked with you go and tell them कि इसको ही ले लो, yeah, he's good or she's great. She knows her work. She's lovely and she's thorough. And she has all the numbers on speed dial that would possibly be required. बोले तो आपका काम हो जाएगा. Being connected is very important. And the last but most effective one, whether you're working or studying or trying to look for love, you have to be communicative. If you become quiet and withdrawn, you leave everything to the imagination, and that's not a very good thing. So all mental health professionals, it's practically a cliche of the profession, always say, must communicate more, must talk more. But how? Talk with respect, talk with empathy, sensitivity, patience, and with a little bit of lightheartedness as well. Don't take yourself so seriously. Whenever people introduce me, it's so cute when she introduced me gracing the occasion. I haven't graced a single occasion, all right. Only the queen graces occasions. I show up, speak my mind, answer questions, and go and have tea. Speaking of which, I forgot to have a sip of this. So I like to keep things communicative, conversational. Okay, I'm just kidding around. Okay, I don't plan to joke at the expense of your moderators. They've been extremely organized. In fact, I found out that I was required to do this talk for you guys just a few days ago, but they have been so helpful, especially with this software that I've never used. So I think it's amazing that you guys have people who are taking the initiative and the effort to bring all kinds of experts, as I said, room service to your doorstep. So cherish this opportunity to have access. You guys are in a very, very good place right now. The sky's the limit. People will come and talk and share their stories with you. And I am ridiculously excited for our question and answer where I can actually see some faces. I'm on YouTube, so all my talks that I do at colleges, any interviews, even Insta lives, I edit them and I put them on YouTube for free consumption. Because for me, it's not always about money. It's also about giving back. That's why anyone becomes a mental health professional, not just to mint money. Otherwise, I could have just grown a longer beard and started a cult. More money to be made there, believe me. So I want to give back. I'm not trying to increase my subscribers. All right, you want to follow me, follow me. You don't want to, it's up to you. Just go on YouTube, type Dr. Aman Bhonsle. It's very straightforward. You'll find me. There's only one guy with a pointy mooch. All right. Subscribe if you feel like. I'm on Instagram as well. It's a very quick and easy way to reach me. I reply to everyone. Okay. It's Dr. Aman Bhonsle, not Drama Bhonsle. Sometimes people read it as Drama Bhonsle. I'm like, I should have thought of that. So, Dr. Aman Bhonsle on Instagram. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn's a slightly more professional forum. Um, and you can DM me there as well. Say, "Hey, I attended your talk, etc." And if you want to connect with me one to one or call me back again, this is a very good place to do it. Nice, right? I promised you guys it would be a short talk. So this is pretty much the end of my talk, and I'm going to stop sharing now. And I don't know how to because this isn't Zoom. Okay, I think it's open now. I'm going to stop sharing. And I am all ears for your questions now. So if the moderators want to do any moderating, now's the time.
Thank you, sir, for your wise and profound words. It was indeed a pleasure listening to you. I would like to proceed with the question and answer round. Um, the very first question is, how can a person have a balanced life? How can one have a systematic schedule?
See, really, your definition of a balanced life has to be known to you. I think you should make time for everything that you love, including gaming, including meeting your friends, including having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever you choose. But at the same time, you have to understand that what's important to you is uniquely important only to you. No one else really owes you success or happiness or peace or balance. No one owes it to you. You got to achieve it for yourself. So it's very important to figure out a time of the day where you are able to really get down a business. I'll give you my own example. I can't work at nights. I can't work at nights to save my life, even though I had to for many years as a media professional. But I notice about this about myself, that my best work happens before 6 p.m. My best work. And between 11 to 6 p.m., I'm a machine. And all the hours beyond that are for me to do things I like. I want to watch my favorite shows on Netflix too. I want to read books. I want to take a nap. I want to order food on Swiggy as well. I'm a human being as well. So you got to make times for the things that are uniquely important to you. If you want to work out or go for a drive or meet friends, it's I don't look down on any of these things. But if you're only doing that and sort of ignoring other aspects of your life, then there's going to be a lopsidedness, and then your family is going to be very, very pissed. So it's important to figure out a time of the day that works for you. If you can't focus for 1 hour, use the Pomodoro method, which you can Google, where people work for 25 minutes and then take 20-minute breaks and then do it in spells of 4, 25, 20, 25, 20, 25, 20, 25, 20, something like that. Or 25, 10, 10 break, 25, 15, 15 is the break, etc. So you got to figure out how to create. It's like how you have an EMI. You want to buy something expensive, but budget में नहीं है, महंगा. तो सीन ऐसा है कि वो आपको EMIs पे करने हैं. तो you may have to study also in installments. Any distractions like your phone or WhatsApp or your parents, you just keep it in a different room for that time. Okay, I need to really sit and focus now. So all these other things need to be parked aside. So these are some rather, I would say, simple tips uh, that I would recommend you incorporate in your life. I hope that scratches the surface as well
Yes, sir,
for
it's
you.
very helpful answer. I guess Nawaz, do you want to ask some question from you? So,
Am I audible?
yeah, you are clearly audible.
Wonderful. So first of all, thank you so much for that talk. It made me laugh and actually think about some things that I needed to. The question which I wanted to ask you was how to build up a particular consistency in whatever you do. Like let's say, for example, I want to commit myself to basically 30 days of writing something regularly on a regular basis, be it fictional, non-fictional, or legal in that sense. But alongside, when we have so many distractions, especially social media, which we have grown a particular addiction to because of the
Yeah.
need to stay connected, especially in times like these, what would you suggest? How would you build up that consistency while we are fighting, or kind of laying back on our social media usage? What would you say about that?
See, you have to want something badly enough to be obsessed with it. And when you're obsessed with something, you find ways to achieve it. Like if you like someone and you really want that person to be in your life, you will make sure you find every occasion to meet, to chat, to talk, to connect. You'll remember important dates. The same rules apply for any pursuit. Like if you want to be a published author, you can definitely siphon 10 minutes every day to do a little bit of writing. Even if you do 10 minutes every day for 3 months, your book will be complete. 10 minutes only. So that's what I say. You got to break your goals down into micro goals and you got to want it badly enough. If you're doing it for all the so called wrong reasons to impress your mom, I keep saying your parents are not going to be around. Like, who are you going to impress after they're gone? You'll just find someone else to fill that vacuum. Stop impressing the world, impress yourself. You can escape your parents, but you can't escape yourself. So you should be the numero uno priority, isn't it? Like on days when I'm not impressed with what I've done, I find those days very hard. If somebody else has a problem with me, I'm like, "ठीक है ना यार, I can't make everyone happy." यार. There's this thing I read, somebody had shared it on Insta with me that if you want to make everyone happy, sell ice cream. Don't be a leader. It's a very popular quote. I'm sure you all may have also received it in your DMs. So you have to do things with a certain clear headedness that I require to do this to be consistent with my goals. As far as social media is concerned, yeah, there's nothing that works better than just keeping your phone in another room for a short while. Keep your phone and iPad in another room. Band kar do na. You don't have access to it. Only lock it in your cupboard. Hide it under your t-shirts. It's all right. I do that sometimes, especially when you're seeing those reels on Instagram, and your YouTube is also very shana. To show you more videos based on the videos you've
That is
already.
exactly like a whole end hole. You just go in and there is not coming out for 4 hours at least. Trust me, been there, done that.
I know सबके साथ होता है यार. It happens with everyone. It's happened with me also. I must admit. But on days where I know I need to really focus on other things, on those days I will only check my WhatsApps because my clients message me there. Future clients who also want to consult me, then I have to give them the details of how to consult me, etc., etc. So then that is the only place I check. I don't check my Insta, my Facebook, my YouTube. YouTube चालू हो गया तो मतलब I know मैं भी 1 घंटा गया. So you know what I do? Here's something interesting I do. When I'm eating my meals, I watch YouTube. So I catch up. I save all the videos to watch later. So I have very long lunches. I have 40-minute long lunches because then I can see 3 4 videos of 10 minutes each. I'm like, okay, मेरा आधा backlog खत्म हो गया. Okay, well, खा रहा हूँ, देख रहा हूँ, खत्म होगी बात. So that is important. That requires a little bit of determination and discipline. See, there's no shortcut to having discipline. You have to figure out creative ways. You got to put your phone in another room, or give it to someone, give it to your mom. Maybe not the best idea if you have messages you don't want her reading and she knows your password. So yeah, you figure it out. It's not rocket science in my opinion. It's just a matter of determination and discipline.
Thank you, sir. It is very insightful, actually. Next question is that how can a student develop oneself by work from home? Do you think students will be able to learn more and work efficiently by work from home?
चॉइस नहीं है ना आपके पास. चॉइस क्या है? और चॉइस क्या है? Like, what are you going to do? जो है वो है. What you are stuck with, you're stuck with. Now you have to work from home and you have to build a name for yourself from across a screen. So you use every screen interface to try to build a good reputation. I know so many students, they don't have LinkedIn profiles. I'm like, how the hell do you expect to be taken seriously without a LinkedIn profile, with a nice photo? Not something like this, like a proper photo that shows that, you're not playing around, that you're here to work. with everything. People will not even type their names with proper capitals. सब छोटे alphabet में लिखेंगे. You make grammatical mistakes. You don't have a profile photo, and you expect me to take you seriously. You don't take yourself seriously. So you have to be able to build that image. You be careful about what you post on. If your Insta is only about how cute your cat is and your cat's name is Snuggles or Mr. Snuggles, then anyone who sees you will be like, this person has nothing else to do or is obsessed with one bloody cat who doesn't even care about him, who just wants to be fed. So what is there on your, what are you posting also? It's better to not post anything than to post frivolous stuff all the time. What I ate, look at my cat. What I ate, look at my cat, look at my outfit. What I ate, look at my cat, look at my holiday, look at my outfit. If that's all you're going to be posting, then that's all that people are going to say. Oh, she's just someone who's obsessed with animals, just wants to show how nice she looks, and is constantly eating something and traveling. When is she really working? People will make these decisions unconsciously. They will make first impressions and then they will not want to have anything to do with you. It's so unfortunate. I remember there's this lady in my parents' building. They live in Cuff Parade, my parents. And I used to really look up to her. She was always very well dressed, very Shobha Day kind of vibe she had. Very portly looking woman with a sari and always, the maroon lipstick and always well put together. And she'd always say, hello, beta, hello, beta. She spoke in that very South Bombay auntie, you know what I mean? I really looked up to her. And ever since COVID has happened, she has gone nuts on WhatsApp. On that building WhatsApp group, every day she's complaining. There was a pigeon, one plastic fell in my balcony, there's water leaking, constantly complaining as if it is a Vodafone ka helpline. And somehow I don't see her the same way anymore. I'm like, she's just an irritated old woman who thinks that putting everything on WhatsApp is going to solve her problems. No, if your water is leaking, call the plumber. What are you putting it on WhatsApp for? You understand what I mean? So she has single-handedly, without even knowing, ruined her reputation in the eyes of so many people who used to look up to her by being too available and too cranky and too public. So these are subtle things. Don't be so accessible and available all the time. अपना इज्जत अपने हाथ में होता है. So if you want to build a good reputation, start by creating a great LinkedIn profile, talking to the right people. Don't just hang around with people who you are going to have chiku milkshakes with, at night. You need to hang out with people who take their careers very seriously. People hang out with your seniors from the same industry. Look at their offices, look at their schedules, look at the size of their houses, look at the cars they drive. There's more to be learned from there. So always aspire to have friends a few years elder than you is what I would recommend for people your age. Because you know and then you can casually ask them, how did you reach here? And they'll give away their little secrets. I've given you so many secrets in this 1 half an hour talk. Those of you all who are taking notes, I guarantee you will be benefited. Those of you who were like, kya yaar, chal na, bahut ho gaya. ठीक है, you'll take 6-7 more years to reach your destination, but you'll reach it. I'm never arrogant enough to say that if I tell you something, you will reach it. No, you may reach it, but I tried to save you a few years. I've given you distilled 2 decades worth of knowledge in just half an hour to give you the short form, the Cliff Notes version of it. So you can take it, you can leave it. It's very important to know what you're fighting for and what you stand to lose if you lose your grip. फंसोगे भी आप, हंसोगे भी आप, डरोगे भी आप और मरोगे भी आप और भुगतोगे जरूर. The late nights, the family fights, the WhatsApp wars. We've been through it all. I have the benefit of knowing how the world was before all this tech came in, and I assure you, very little has changed. People were still as angry. People were still as confused. Only thing is now, because there's Twitter and WhatsApp, they're able to puke online. So if you want to build a good network, a good reputation, start by taking yourself seriously, because people can tell when you mean business. You can be fun, like people always say, oh, my talks are very entertaining. I'm like, because I myself would get bored if I came and spoke to you like one of those typical, today we are going to discuss the perils of mental health and how it is affecting the modern youth. My God, people who talk like that, मेरे को ऐसे अंदर से feel आता है कि भाई, I can't do it. Because I was also in entertainment, right? So I need to be entertained as well. So if you want people to look at you favorably, then you need to look at yourself favorably. If you want people to listen to what you are saying, you should be wanting to listen to your own voice as well and not get bored of yourself. That is the most dangerous thing. When you lose interest in yourself, when you are bored with your own opinions, there's nothing more dangerous on this planet than that. in my opinion. Dangerous in context to your progress towards the goals that you set.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. The another question is, sir, do you think optimism can be toxic at times?
Arre, I did a talk on this just a few days ago. Go on my YouTube channel. Seriously, it's so horrible. No, I'm trying to promote my YouTube channel. Chi 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 chi. No, but I'll tell you something. You must learn to promote yourself. Besharmi se, because no one will otherwise do it for you. No one's going. I don't have anyone who's going to make a phone call to you and saying, "Go to my channel." I just spoke on toxic positivity. एक घंटे का talk है. You can see it for free. What I said in that talk, and I'll repeat it here for your benefit, is that we have decided to label certain emotions as good emotions and bad emotions, whereby emotions are just emotions, man. See, an emotion can be functional and dysfunctional. When I say an emotional is functional, an emotion is functional, it means it's helping you move faster towards your goals. When you say it's dysfunctional, it is you're dragging your feet. It's confusing you, it is slowing you down, it is distracting you. So it's not good or bad. And every human being, believe it or no, has both functional and dysfunctional emotions. The question is, how much importance do we give to them? And how much time do we allocate to those emotions? Because if emotions were the only things that were real, then there would be no such thing as regret. How many of you all, in a fit of anger, have said something nasty to your best friend or your boyfriend or girlfriend or your mom and later said, shit, yaar, ज़्यादा बोल दिया. Shouldn't have done it. नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, ज़्यादा बोल दिया. But then your emotions in that moment made you feel a certain way and आपने बक दिया. And then that may have caused issues in the relationship, isn't it? So because your emotions are not the only navigators towards success. I keep saying there's logic, there's practicality, and there is agility, the ability to be flexible. कि ठीक है यार. So I remember this last week I was supposed to go to pick up someone near Bombay Central, and usually takes me 30 minutes. It took me 58 minutes. So what I did was I decided to listen to a new playlist on Spotify. And said, let me take note of the new songs that I discover on this playlist and add it to my playlist. Whenever there's a signal, I'll go and quickly add to my playlist. Okay? Because I'm stuck there, I'm gaadi hil nahi rahi hai, so I'll just add to my playlist. And I created an entirely new playlist that day called Boredom While Driving. And it's so funny that you can do all these things. So I turned even my being stuck in traffic into a project. It's mindset. So now every time I listen to those songs, I imagine myself depressed somewhere near Mohammad Ali Road. गाड़ी फंस गई है. I drive a massive SUV, तो मैं गाड़ी हर जगह फंस जाती है. Either there's no parking. So it's about really having a mindset that I want to solve a problem, man. I can sit and say, shit, I hate Bombay. I hate the traffic. The roads are shit. The traffic is shit. The people are shit. The road, the bridge is shit. The coastline is shit. You can say anything. Or you can say, it's okay, yaar. Every country has its challenges, yaar. But, Bombay is Bombay, yaar. घर है अपना. भले ही उसमें लाख कमियां हैं. There's biryani, there's nihari, and there is paneer do pyaza pizza available here. Life कट जाएगी यार. This is Bombay, Mumbai मेरी जान. बड़ा पाव खाओ, World Cup जाओ. You understand? So it's
Yes.
about having a mindset to want to fix the problem rather than crib about it. अगर आप crib कर रहे हो, oh I have so much to study, then I assure you you'll be cribbing through your life. If you decide and say, ठीक है, I'll give myself 10 minutes to crib because I'm human. I also crib some days to myself. I live alone, so I'll be like, shit, ye hai, wo hai. Since yesterday, my Amazon Fire Stick has been misfiring. I was not able to watch one show. Atak raha hai. Some new modem has been installed. I'm so irritated. But I'm like, bhai, कम से कम तेरे पास Fire Stick है. लोगों के पास वो भी नहीं होता है. तो ठंड रख. Don't be have such a first world problem. Laptop पे देख, iPad पे देख. You can watch it on any other device other than the big TV. So I also have to sometimes self-counsel myself. We have all kinds of problems. Some problems are very petty. You're like, ठीक है, ये चिरकुट problem है. Some problems are massive. They eat into you for months and months and months. It's all about having a corrective mindset. I want to fix this. So that's what I recommend. Change as I said, your attitude will define your altitude. रोते रहोगे तो रोते ही रहोगे आप. खत्म then. Then that's the end. Very sad story. Devdas. And no one likes a crybaby beyond a point, all right. Samya, you won't believe this. Crybabies are irritating to everyone. They'll say, "Iska khatam hi nahi hota hai, yaar. You think you're the only person with problems? To hell with it, yaar. We're all studying, we're all dealing with nosy families, we're all dealing with people sending us mixed messages. Are you taking me, hiring me, or not hiring me? Do you like me or do you not like me back? रोज मैं ये कहानियां सुन रहा हूँ in my client practice, and all problems are so similar. I've actually created 5-6 folders based on what homeworks I need to give them. Anxiety का एक है, mixed signals का एक है, loss of love का एक है. I deal with all these on a daily basis, so I know what I need to navigate them towards. We're not so different after all as human beings. As I said, you're not special, but you are unique. So think about that.
Thank you, sir, for answering these questions and giving us an insight on the topic. This has been a very enlightening session, and we got to know a lot about personal and professional challenges during pandemic times. So, we are very grateful that you took precious time from your busy schedule to guide us. Now, I, Samya Oja, on behalf of the placement cell of SVKM's Pravin Gandhi College of Law, deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to everyone who has helped us in making this event a success. To start with, I would like to thank the stellar management of Shri Ville Parle Kelvani Mandal as well as their tech team for providing us with this platform of Microsoft Teams. I am grateful to our principal, Dr. Navshika Duara, who is our pillar of strength and motivation. I'm also thankful to our vice principal, Professor Suman Kalani, for her constant support and encouragement. Now, I would like to express my profound gratitude to our guest speaker for today, Mr. Aman Bhonsle, for enlightening us on the topic. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, sir.
I love how you use such formal words, gracing and this. I can't speak this way, man. I got to learn from you. I got to learn to be more formal. But it's really sweet of you to help me through this session. And I hope you guys please do find me on Instagram, hunt me down, all right. And I know we've had the constraint of time, but I would love to answer your questions whenever I have some time. And it's been an absolute pleasure. So without any further ado, I'm going to finish my tea and take your leave. All right. Bye, guys. See you
Bye.
online. Bye.